Welcome to Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. I'm Steve Swat with the Sacramento Report. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about a controversial piece of legislation in Sacramento that would basically criminalize an effort, if anyone makes an effort, to enforce a portion of the National Defense Bill. My guest this segment is Tim Donnelly, a member of the State Assembly from Twin Peaks and San Bernardino County. Thanks very much for being here.
It's great to be here, Steve.
So this piece of legislation that you've authored, which is controversial, it's gotten a lot of ink up and down the state, is pretty interesting because you basically are saying that this portion of this National Defense Bill is unconstitutional, and therefore you want anybody who enforces it to go to jail, pay a fine.
Yeah, AB 351 is my bill, and it would criminalize any indefinite detentions that are made under the Section 1021 and 1022 of the what's known as the NDAA, or the National Defense Authorization Act. And what that enables any federal authority to do is to indefinitely detain someone they suspect of being a terrorist. Well, unfortunately, I think most Americans, if they really understood what this meant in plain language, which is the denial of habeas corpus, or your due process, your day in court, to hear the charges processed against you within a timely fashion, that's been a protection that is guaranteed in the Constitution, that Americans, I would say almost universally, support. And this would suspend that. And it suspends that only for the classification of people they consider to be terrorists. Well, what if they decide to redefine who they think is a terrorist? I don't trust the government when it comes to suspending the constitutional rights of citizens. And I'm not alone. There's 20 other states that have run a bill like this. Mm-hmm. And said, you know what, not on our soil. So it would make it illegal on California soil, and it would be punishable by a fine and jail time for any federal officer who would do any such detaining.
This one provision is part of a much larger national defense bill, as you mentioned. President Obama has indicated when he signed that bill that, you know, he's not necessarily in favor of that provision either, but it was part of the larger effort, and that he really has no plans to implement it.
Politicians say an awful lot of things when they want to get something passed or they want to get elected. My deep concern is that this empowers him to essentially suspend the constitutional rights of California citizens. Just today on the floor of the California State Assembly, we're remembering the 71st anniversary of the internment camps where Japanese Americans were deprived of their liberty, deprived of their property, deprived of their ability to make a living. They were hustled off to these camps, all in the name of national security. Mm-hmm. Are you starting to hear the same tones? If this bill were in effect then, it would have protected California from that happening. And it was interesting, the discussion that took place, because the internment camps were supported by a huge bipartisan group of people. There was only one assemblyman who stood up against this, a Democrat named Ralph Dills, and he was the only one who stood up for the freedoms that we as Americans enjoy and treasure.
All right. Well, we're out of time. Fascinating issue, and it's been interesting to read the stories about it. And Tim Donnelly, thanks for coming by and discussing it with us.
Thank you for your interest, Steve.
And thanks to our viewers for watching Local Edition on Time Warner Cable. Reminder, you can see this and other interviews on YouTube and also on My Government on Demand.